Gamrot defeated Fedzayev exactly as yours truly predicted a week ago, and called out Charles Oliveira. I'm into it. I'm into the call out. I'm into Gamrot. I think Gamrot's a great fighter. I thought Fedzayev looked better than I even knew Fedzayev was. Like, right, that was an interesting fight. I really didn't see a loser. I know that the ACL of Fedzayev went out, and I certainly wish him well. But Gamrot, calling out Charles Oliveira, I loved it, with one exception. He said, I think that Charles is going to lose. I think he's going to lose to Islam. I would have preferred it if he says, I don't care if he loses to Islam. I want to fight him. Because adversely, that would also tell the audience that if he wins, I've got dibs. I want him. If he becomes the new champ, if he does what DraftKings says he's a 4-to-1 underdog to do, I would like a piece. And we talk about that all the time, right? We talk about calling out the guy that nobody's calling out the underdog. We talked about the missed opportunities by 185-pounders going into Strickland versus Adesanya, that they should have been calling out Strickland. They should have aligned themselves. And I like that Gamrot did it, and I also think he's sincere. I think he's very sincere. I think he thinks that Charles is going to lose, and I think he'd fight him off a loss. But Charles is still great. He fell from champion to the number one contender. But he's the number one contender now, and he fought me. Where does he fall to? 2, 3, stays at 1. Depends on how the match goes. It's just one of those situations. I like to call out a lot. I just think that Gamrot should have positioned himself. I don't believe there's not a backup on that card. And I like when a backup gets advertised, but it doesn't always happen. I was at Madison Square Garden for Covington versus Kamaru Usman when Vincent Luque walked through the curtain, the weigh-in. I'm doing the show with Ariel, and we're looking at each other. What's he doing here? Then he weighs in at middleweight, but it was a main event fight. Then it later gets revealed to us that he had missed welterweight. He didn't mean to weigh in at middleweight. It was just one of these situations where it didn't really matter because we weren't expecting it. Nobody knew it was going to happen anyway. So a guy walks through the curtain, a guy to be a backup fighter, but he misses weight for the fight. So now he's not the backup fighter. Fine, we weren't promised a backup fighter, but Sergey Pavlich is the backup fighter for New York City in November. Very relevant. Very relevant. That was advertised. We didn't ask. We're also not having to wait. I don't know why that got advertised. Perhaps it's because there's certain fights that the organization feels are weaker in terms of the glue holding them together. And perhaps it's just a coincidental thing. Colby Covington, March of this year, flew to England. Backup fighter for Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards. It was not revealed to us until the day before when the weigh-ins happened. I'm only bringing that to you because there's the Abu Dhabi in October. We got a world title fight between Islam and Oliveira that Oliveira said 3 times he's not going to do. Oliveira has a history of not making weight, whether it's for a world title or not. So it's very hard to have an Oliveira main event that you don't have a backup fighter for, particularly when this is a rematch, and for the first match, you had a backup fighter. I'm just suggesting for you. It would seem as though somebody would be in that position whether we've been told it or not. And the same thing goes for the co-main event. Paulo Costa and Chimaev, neither of them appears that they want to do this fight. Now, if they're starting to see that in their opponent, perhaps that'll bring them together. But neither guy is behaving the way that they have personally behaved in the past towards an opponent, towards the social media, towards building a fight. They're both getting very standoffish. And it would seem like a good idea to have a backup fighter, particularly for at least one of those two, if not both of them. And I think maybe that's an opportunity for Gamrot. I bring that to you because I don't think it's too late. There is a chance, and there's even a rumor that Justin Gaethje has already accepted that position, that he's quietly going to go over and sit in the front row and do it. I know that that's a rumor, but what's the point of that? What is the point of doing anything in promotion if it's going to be kept quiet? That is the opposite of promotion. So get out there and make a little noise and either test their hand and make them reveal that it's going to be Justin Gaethje, or claim that it's going to be you and go and take the spot, Gamrot. I tell you, get some support, at least from me.